So a few days ago, New World did their Balance of Power update, where they talked about all things balance related, the hot topics of the week, as it were. And there was some really interesting tidbits on shirking heals, self-healing versus having a healer. I thought it'd be fun to discuss in the video, which is what this is. They also talked about shirking heals adjustments to Boltcaster, and yeah, we found out that Ocean's Peace is not coming in Season 4. It'll be here in Season 5, and so all these things, like I said in a video a few weeks ago, that's why we're waiting. That's why we're waiting to see what happens with this patch. A lot of things can change, and things have changed with this update. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the direction that I'm kind of looking at right now, and yeah, let's dive into it. So the New World developers basically talked about healing, and they talked about how they've implemented plague strikes and plague crits in order to impact healing. They want healing to be from a healer to be beneficial, but not so easy and so powerful. So they're making adjustments to Sacred Ground, they said, in the future. They're also looking at how they can have healing be more fun, because a lot of it's like AoE, like easier to use. And he also laid out how he wants self-healing and healing with a healer to go. And so I thought it was a very interesting discussion. He wants a little bit more self-healing and wants people to be able to survive and sustain. And it makes sense. I think it makes a lot of sense to go in this direction. First of all, like if you play a healer, you want healing to be engaging and fun. That's the first thing. And the activation of skills is just so... It could use some work. Like you play a weapon like bow and you're operating at range, and yeah, if you're good, like obviously you crush. But if your aim is bad, like you just miss all your shots, and you know there's a skill gap there with respect to aim. And I'm not saying there's not a skill gap with healers. I'm just saying it's a lot easier to play healer than it is to play, you know, other weapons in the game. And so that's kind of my perspective on it. And so providing more skill gap is going to be more enjoyable for healers in general, and it's going to be more enjoyable for people encountering healers. And so I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. It adds to the longevity of the game in general. Now, when you look at just from your own experiences playing arenas and stuff like this, and you go into an arena and the first time you encounter, like, imagine you just think about your own win record when you go in and the other team has a healer and you do not. And you can just see how powerful Life Staff is versus all the other weapons in the game. Now, obviously, it's a support weapon. I'm not saying that it shouldn't provide power. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be the strongest weapon in the game. But if one sword and shield, if one blunderbuss, if one fire staff had the same type of impact that one Life Staff did, and some of those weapons are very powerful. I'm not saying they're not. There's just a much larger amplification that a Life Staff provides. And so looking overall at what they're providing while also giving players the ability to self-heal a bit more makes a lot of sense. And so that segues us into shirking heals. They are reducing the cooldown on shirking heals from 10 seconds to 7 seconds. I was already running it with 10 seconds. I told you guys I was going to run it. It's still, if you're playing solo, it's tough to pass that up. 7 seconds is a substantial buff. It is a very, very nice buff. It also, if you guys watched my Ocean's Peace video from last week, I was comparing self-healing numbers of like Ankh style builds, no artifact builds, and Ocean's Peace. And what I had found was Ankh for self-healing, there really wasn't much of a difference between Ankh self-healing and just potion shirking heals self-healing. The potion loss that you get with Ankh offsets the shirking heals buff that you were getting every 10 seconds. Like, it was very, very similar to the amount of healing. So for my specific build, running solo or running in arenas and stuff, it was basically the same. I could take Ankh off, and I was like, wow, like this is just literally for running in wars and large groups with a healer. Well, with the shirking heals adjustment, with the cooldown going from 10 seconds to 7 seconds, it now makes Ankh more beneficial for that type of build. And so with Ocean's Peace being moved back to Season 5 right now, and we're still over a week away from the new patch, Ankh is looking like what I'm going to run. Now, I am interested in Endless Thirst. They talked about that. They're buffing that to where you're going to be able to get the Fortify and Empower, I think, for 10 seconds, which is quite nice with focus potions and everything. They don't have an animation. And so the fact that you can have, what is it, 10%, 20% fortify and 10% empower for with 100% uptime sounds really nice. It sounds like a solid option. The only questions I have about it, I think in light armor, if like fortify is just not going to do anything for you in light armor, and so I think for a lot of light armor builds, Endless Thirst might not be the play. Maybe the healing is enough to offset that, like the quick, oh shit, I took damage, now I can heal for more and I can get distance. Maybe that's why you use it, but the fortify isn't super valuable. The empower is obviously nice. Some people are already at empower cap, and so you'll have to look at that for your specific build and figure that out. But the big thing for me is I already really like my earring. I really like the healing heart, regenerating, and healthy toast. And so the fact that I can only run one of those three is a huge loss to overall survival. Now I know fortify offsets that. I'm not smart enough to know the difference between fortify and then fortify, like 20% fortify versus a mana potion heal every 10 seconds and healing heart. I'm not smart enough to know the difference. It just seems like on paper that my earring is probably better for my build than Endless Thirst, considering all of these things, but it is something that I will be leveling. It is something that I will be testing and figuring that out. I'll provide an update for you guys in the future, but yeah, long story short, I think I'm going to stick with Ankh. Endless Thirst has my attention. And yeah, Ocean's Peace, the video I did last week, it still applies. It looks awesome. It looks like a really good artifact. It looks like it's going to be a really fun thing to have. It's just not going to be here in December. So big sadness, lots of pain. Let's pour one out for all of the Ocean's Peace homies that wanted to run this. But yeah, it's coming in season 5. It is not here in season 4. They tricked us. They deceived us. We should go to the forum. No, I'm just kidding, guys. It's not that serious. But yeah, I was looking forward to that one. That's one I'm definitely looking forward to. Not wrong. I don't think I'm wrong about Ocean's Peace. We're just early. We're just a patch early. We can make adjustments then. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still sticking with Shirking heals. I was before. This is a substantial buff. I'm surprised that I'm sticking with Ankh. I'm surprised that that's going to be a thing for Shirking heals builds, considering the numbers that I was running. So I'm just going to end this video here for you guys. It was a really good discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. We're not going to end the video yet. Got to talk about Boltcaster. They took the stun off of it. And so Boltcaster is the bow artifact, for those of you guys that don't know. One of the abilities that it had on it is you could stun somebody at 100% health. And so I looked at that and I was like, well, that's BS. Long range stuns are not enjoyable to play with. And yeah, after lots of testing in wars and in large group play on PTR, they found that people said the exact same thing. It's not enjoyable. And yeah, like after the healing discussion, can you imagine being a healer in these wars and being focused by all these Boltcaster bows, and every time your health gets topped off, you're just getting stunned? Not enjoyable. There's no cooldown on these staggers. There's no cooldown on stuff like this. And so you're just nonstop getting just the inability to play. It's not fun. It's not fun gameplay. It's not enjoyable. I'm really glad they took it off. But they provided, it'll be interesting to see how much damage it is. But what they said is if you hit with 3 consecutive basic attacks, it builds charges. After 3 charges, you get a burst of damage. And so bringing Bursty Bow back is pretty cool. I'm not saying bow isn't good or anything like that. Obviously, it's taken some steps back for justifiable reasons, but the current bow setup, like the most powerful one for a little bit, has been the dot setup. You just drop AoEs, and it's a little bit less aim based, and now this is bringing that aspect back. So I'm very excited to test Boltcaster. I'm very excited to get that as well and try that out, because yeah, who doesn't like burst, guys? Like who doesn't like burst? And so that's my perspective on it. Obviously, I want to hear yours. Let me know in the comment section. Now we're going to end the video. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.